On the morning of 14th this month, that's Saturday, a lot of us in Delhi woke up to this incident about some NRI, 20-year-old guy called Anmol Sarna,
Yes.
was found dead in a South Delhi locality of Kalkaji, not very far away from Tehelka's office here at GK2. The guy was found dead. He was allegedly have been beaten up or was found in a pool of blood. And then while the police was trying to take him to All India Medical Institute, AIMS, the guy passed away on the way. A lot of us did not know, honestly, when we read in the newspaper, what's the connection with Tehelka. It's only much later that we came to know that our own editor at large, Ajit Sahi, has been a witness to the whole incident, and there's been a lot of reportage, a lot of it one-sided, a lot of it unsubstantiated. We'd like to know from Ajit what exactly happened, because he is one of the three key witnesses
Yes.
to the whole incident. Ajit, to begin with, if you could tell us from the complete sequence,
Yes.
what happened, when did you come to know what was happening?
Yes. You see, it was about 11:15 in the night, and my wife and I, we were about to turn in for the night when we heard someone scream, a male voice, and then it went quiet.
And this is, for the clarity of our audiences, this is Kalkaji. You are
Yes, this is South Park Apartments.
Okay.
These are DDA flats. Delhi Development Authority had built it under a self-financing scheme in 1989.
Okay.
I am a tenant there. I moved there just about 5 months ago.
And you're at 98.
I'm in flat number 98, and the incident we later found out pertains to flat number 95, and I will come to that. So what happened is that we heard a male voice screaming, and it was incoherent. We could not make out. So, and then it went quiet after, say, about 30 seconds. So you know, sometimes people have fights and quarrels in their houses, you never know. So I just put it away. But it just started again, and this time, because I have a ground floor flat, there are only duplex flats in this society. Suddenly I realized the voice was now much nearer and in the back lane, in behind my flat. And then I felt that it was near the staircase, this voice. And so my wife and I, we wondered what's happening, and there was a young man's voice screaming at the top of his voice and saying, Chiki Madhav, Chiki Madhav, Chiki Madhav, Chiki Madhav, Chiki Madhav, Chiki Madhav. Yes, he just continuously said that like a staccato. Chiki Madhav, Chiki Madhav, Chiki Madhav, Chiki Madhav. And he was obviously delirious completely. So we are connected by the intercom. I picked up the intercom. I called, we have 4 gates. The society, it's a squarish plot, and there are 2 strips of blocks on each side, and every side there is 1 gate. So there are 4 gates. Gate number 3 is perpetually shut. And gate number 2 is from where cars come in, and gate number 4 is where cars go out from. And gate number 1 is open from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. but only for people on foot. You can't bring a car in or take it out. And gate number 3, as I said, is perpetually closed. So my house is very near gate number 1. Okay. So I called up gate number 4 and I spoke to the guard there, and I said, please come immediately. There is something happening here. So he said, please call gate number 2. I am alone here. So I called up gate number 2, and there were 2 guards who have now been arrested by the police on charges of the murder of this poor unfortunate young man. These 2 are named Jogendra Bali and Mishra. Mishra is a 60-year-old man. His hair is all white, he is shortish. When I heard both these guys, I said, please come immediately. There's someone creating a ruckus. Both these men came running with chota danda in their hands. I immediately stepped out of my house. Now, there are 2 blocks like this, and the blocks face away from each other, so they share a back lane. Between the 2 blocks is a back lane for both. Okay, so my staircase is here, and there was another staircase right in the front in the opposite block, and these chowkidars, they started going up. I followed them because the guy seemed to have gone up the staircase, that staircase
through the back lane.
Yes, through the back lane. So as the chowkidars went up and I started going up, on the very first landing, which is halfway to the first floor, suddenly this fellow jumped, and he was about this distance from me. Okay. He was a tall guy, very tall. He's about 6 feet, very hefty, very strong, muscled, bare-chested, okay, wearing knee-length shorts, beige colored, okay, bare feet. Okay. And from the look of his face, I instantly figured out that this fellow is seriously in trouble. He's having a trip or something. He's tripping. And for a moment, we were all very taken aback. And he swung his hand at me to slap me. And he had a big, huge hand. So, reflexively, I just ducked. I just put my head behind. So he hit me here, okay? And before we could recover, he had gone past me, running down in the back lane. Now these are the two strips. This is where my house is. This is where he was. He came in the back lane and he started running in the back lane. Okay.
And this guy is just wearing a short. That's it.
And he's just saying Chiki Madhav, Chiki Madhav, Chiki Madhav, Chiki Madhav, Chiki Madhav. He was just going crazy with the two names. So the Chaukidars ran after him. I ran after the Chaukidars. Okay. So the first thing that we need to know, that there is no clarity, as you mentioned at the beginning. Everybody thinks he was beaten up, he had blood, he was asking for mercy and help. No. He had no blood on him. There was no blood on him. When I and the two security guards, we saw him, he had no blood on him. He was perspiring, he was profusely sweating, and he seemed to be terrified. And I think the most unfortunate part is that the poor man died without ever recovering his senses, So when he ran the entire distance in the back lane, we chased after him. And when the back lane ended, so he turned towards, now there are two strips here, two strips here, two strips here, and two strips here. So when he turned, he halted and returned towards us. So we also halted. And we were all very, we didn't know what to say, what to do. It was happening like this. And suddenly this man turned and gave one tight slap to Mishra. Okay. The older guy, the older security guard with white hair, who is now a co-accused and has been arrested. At which point we all said, "Arey, isko roko," and Mishra and the other guy, they had lathis, so they started hitting him. But he did not run away. He just stood there with his hands on his head and he took blows here. Meanwhile, I ran past him to gate number 4 to the first guard that I had called, and I screamed at him. I said, "What the hell are you doing here? There is this guy on the loose. He's just terrifying all of us. Come quickly." And I said, "Call the police." So there's a board with all the names and numbers of police officers. So he said, "Please call this guy." So I had called up some police chap's number on my phone. I had my mobile phone, but it was switched off. We took about 3 to 5 minutes to come back here, by which time about 7-8 other people had come there, and this fellow was lying on the ground. He was still going crazy.
He was still uttering, and he would also abuse in Hindi, but once in a while. And what he had blood on his shoulders, on his chest, and I could see the marks of the batons. But there was no injury on his head, no injury on his face, no blood anywhere. Number one. So that again contradicts the police claim that he was hit on the head and there's a deep gash. The gash never happened. Then this guy was lying on the ground and people were generally getting around. And then he tried to abuse this other guard that I brought. So this other guard lifted a lathi to hit him, but one of the women, she's the president of the society, she said, no, don't hit him, let's call the police. Then suddenly this guy stood up. Everybody stood back. Then he started running. So this is an internal road. So these are two strips. He came from the back lane. He came this side, and then there is a park here. There's a road here. So he started running on this road. And running on this road, he reached what is known as gate number 1, which, as I said to you earlier, is allows only people on foot to come in and go out between 6 a.m. and 9 p.m. It was shut, and there's a CCTV there. And the CCTV footage clearly shows him running up to the gate. And he held the gate and he started hitting his head on the gate. An iron gate. And nobody was near him. I followed him some distance, but I stayed away about 10 feet or so from him. And then again he lay down on his back and he put up his feet in the air and he started pedaling, like pedaling motion, and screaming away. He was on a bad trip. Then he got up and then he ran back on that road. So everybody again pushed themselves away. Meanwhile, I had started asking, who is this man? Where is he from? Does anybody know him? Nobody knew him. But by this time you still are unable to reach to police.
Yes, everybody was trying their phones to call the police. No, but they were calling 100. I don't know, because I was not calling the police. I was trying to control this guy because he seemed hell bent on attacking people. So then then I asked one of the guards, I said, who is this man? So one of the guards remembered that a couple of hours ago he had come to house number 95. Now these people in house number 95, for some strange reason, they probably, I think their common sense left them, they were hiding in their house.
Okay.
So the security guard went up to that house.
So you actually have people from rest of the colony coming out on the street. I mean, so
Yes.
these are the people who don't. I mean, whose guest he is probably.
And they did not come out.
They did not come out.
Absolutely, absolutely. So then this Chowkidar went up and forced this guy to come out, whose son has been arrested. Then when he came out, I confronted him. I said, what the hell, there's this guy is your guest? He said, yes, but I don't know who he is. He's a friend of my son's friend. And he's come to our house for the first time. I said, whatever, this guy's been screaming around, going crazy for the last 30 minutes. You should have been out here. Meanwhile, this fellow was now starting to attack cars, hit cars. So one of the guys got upset, car owners. He tried to collar him and hit him. But this gentleman who was the host, he intervened. He said, no, don't hit him. He's obviously on a bad trip. Something's wrong with him. He's probably taking drugs. So let's call the police. And he started calling the police. And then this fellow again started running towards gate number 1, back to gate number 1. Okay. The CCTV footage shows this fellow running to the gate number 1 twice. By the time he reached there, he had tired out. So he started strolling back and his voice, the pitch was lowering. And by the time he reached, let's say back about 10 meters or 15 meters, he just sank on the ground and he just lay down with his head resting on the wall. Okay, we are witnesses to all of this. Still, there was no head injury, no face, no blood anywhere. Okay, no pool of blood. At no point did he scream for help because he was beyond his senses. Okay, that is the time when the PCR van arrived. I think it was about 12:15. So the PCR van arrived, it stopped there. This guy was lying down here. The cops got out, they came up to him, they talked to him. I was about 6 feet away. Then they asked him, and then one of the policemen, he gave him his hand, lifted him. This guy stood up. He was fine. He had blood on his chest because of the beatings with the lathi, lakdi ka, wooden batons, no iron rods or anything. And there was no blood, no nothing, no wound, nothing. And then the police said, "Chalo, PCR van mein baitho." See, he walked on his own, came to the PCR van and sat in it. Okay, and then the police drove away with him. We all went back home. Next thing I know, at 4:15, I was fast asleep. When the bell rang, I went down, found one of the 2 security guards who's been arrested, who was with me. He said, "Saab, police aayi hai, aapko bula rahi hai." I said, okay. I went out. There was a constable and a head constable. The constable was in uniform. The head constable wore a white t-shirt. So I said, kya ho gaya? He said, "Saab, kahan hua, ye hua, what happened? You attacked him, he attacked you." I said, first of all, get the society president and everybody out here. And I said, and I told him that I am a journalist, I live here, I have seen the whole thing, I'm willing to talk about it. And I had no idea that this fellow had died, this poor guy had died. You know, I could not have imagined, you know, he was nowhere near death, Kunal, when the PCR van took him away. Nowhere near death. That is absolutely clear. Okay. Now, then another PCR van came and I went up to gate number 2 and I sat down on a chair. Another PCR van came and there was this guy, apparently I don't know his name, but he was apparently a sub-inspector. Okay. So he spoke to me, and as you know how the police speak, he said, "Kya hua tha," and all that. So I told him, I said, "See, it's a long story. But what has happened?" He said, "Wo ladka mar gaya hai." I was stunned. There was no reason for him to die. I said, "Acha." So then he got all the chowkidars in the car, in the jeep, and he sped away. And another guy came to me and said, "Aap ja sakte hain." Now, that is when I called a couple of my colleagues and friends from Tehelka, and one of my senior colleagues, Ushinor Majumdar, who is a reporter here. He's covered crime. He's also a lawyer. He came down, and together we hung out till morning. I was visited by the Assistant Commissioner of Police of the region, a lady, an IPS officer named Usha Rangnani, along with the station house officer, the SHO of Kalkaji Police Station named Brijendra Singh. I told both of them, I actually took them all the way to the staircase where it all began. I told them everything. By this time it was 7 o'clock in the morning, the day had broken already. His family had come, Anmol's family had come. They were crying, his sisters were crying, obviously. His father was distraught, but even before them, I said the same thing exactly as I have told you. Okay? For some strange reason, till this date, the police have chosen. In fact, I told so many reporters, all these reporters, because having been a journalist now for 27 years, one knows. I mean, people like you and I, we know all the people here. So from all the news networks and newspapers, people came and chatted with me. I told them exactly the same thing. In fact, one of them asked me, would you like to speak with Deepak Mishra? I said, sure, I'm willing to speak to any police officer. One of them said, the DCP is Karunakaran. I will go and meet him and tell him that you are willing to speak. I said, sure, I'm willing to speak about it. Not once. And the police knew because they had all met me. They came inside my house. In fact, the ACP, Usha Ragnani, and SHO Brijinder Singh, they came inside my house. They said, "Aap dikhaiye, aapne kahan se awaaz suni thi? Kahan se aap dekh rahe the?" So I took them to my kitchen. I showed them from where I saw all this. But I've been extremely disheartened at the way this whole story has gone. It has been shown first as if the friends that he was partying with, as if they beat him up. I wouldn't know. See, I don't hold a brief for anybody. I don't know anybody in the society, how we live in metropolitan cities. But the fact is that if they had beaten him up, he would have some evidence of blood or some wounds or some injuries, somewhere, some abrasion somewhere on his body. He had none when I first saw him. Then if he was hit on the head and if he was bleeding, then if he ran in the back lane all that distance, there would be a trail of blood. I read in the newspapers, and some reporters told me that there was a 5 centimeter by 4 centimeter by gash 2 centimeters deep. 2 centimeters deep is this much. It crosses the skull, I think. I don't think any man can run the way he was running with such a head wound. And I don't think you can run without blood dripping all over you. When I've seen enough unfortunate incidents in riots and stuff, people being beaten, caned, shot at and stuff, it doesn't work like this, So this guy had nothing on his head.
So isn't the post-mortem report still popular?
Yeah, post-mortem report, the autopsy report I saw on one of the news networks a short while ago that it's been out. And apparently it says that he has died of a severe head wound. He was hit with a blunt object. When did he get the head wound? Now, there's another thing. I asked some of the reporters to check, and they found out, and it's been confirmed to me by at least 3 different reporters, that while the PCR van left the South Park apartments at 12:25 a.m., it reached All India Institute of Medical Sciences, which is, I wouldn't even think it's more than 10 kilometers from this place, after 40 minutes, at 5 minutes past 1. Now, it completely fails. I completely fail to understand how could...
It's just 20 minutes for airport from Kalkaji.
Exactly. Exactly. To reach AIMS for a PCR van with sirens blaring and a red light.
Post-midnight.
And post-midnight with a wounded guy. Why should it take them 40 minutes from 12:25 to 01:05 hours? That is something that the police need to answer. I'm a witness, and I've been speaking with lawyers. There is no way, absolutely no way, that these 2 chowkidars, the security guards, were responsible for the injury that may have brought his death. I think this is the best way to sum it up.